Isn't that the beauty of it? It's just two friends shooting the breeze about whatever interests them.
It's a completely unnecessary podcast for sure.
Craft the NES Punk, we're coming for you.
What up, YouTube? Welcome to the Dialup podcast. You're here joined by Queen 8, and as always, my partner in crime, the one who knows it all, the know-it-all, Noah. Say hi to the people, Noah.
I keep telling you, man, I don't know it all. I know a lot, but nobody can know it all.
But your name, Know-it-all.
I guess so.
Noah Tall. Know-it-all.
My friends just call me Hey You with the face.
That could be anybody. Gee. Well, welcome to our podcast where we kind of just shoot the breeze with each other, but focus, I guess, on our childhoods, growing up, retro 90s, 2000s era stuff. Noah, of course, is the expert in the millennial people, and I'm just old.
You're an expert in ways that I'm not, though. You're experienced. You're more experienced than I.
I'm so experienced, I fell off my dinosaur.
Okay, you're not that old. You're at least post Pangea.
It's like grade 6 again. Anywho, we really don't have a format. I guess we have some topics in mind, but we just start shooting the breeze. But Noah, how have you been since the last podcast? What's new? What's up in your life?
Not much. I mean, it snowed again here in Winnipeg. That was fun for 2 days to watch that happen.
What's up? We had beautiful weather for like a week, and then you got hit in the face with a snowstorm. Pun intended.
I mean, Old Man Winter was clawing on for dear life one last time before we take him out back and we just shoot him in the back of the head, Old Yeller style.
He always comes back. Year. Yeah, exactly. He comes back with a vengeance, it seems like. But what a year it's been. We're over 1 year past in the dreaded Rona era. But
yeah, it was about a month ago, 1 year ago now, that the first lockdown happened here in the city.
Yeah, it's just, at least now it feels like there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for some people. How have you been feeling? How have you been coping with it?
I'm fine. I'm healthy as far as I can tell. Nothing to report.
Our city's taking some measures to prevent a third wave spike or whatever. So, kudos to them, I guess.
Yeah, and, it wouldn't hurt if we could get that vaccine rollout going a little better, but hey, that's government for you.
Well, we don't have a Joe Biden in office, but I got my first shot. I just came back from taking my dad to his first shot. I had to accompany him. He's not doing too fantastic all the time, so sometimes he needs some help. So I took him today, and I saw a genuine look of relief, happiness when he got the first shot. He was nervous leading up to it. But then after he got it and nothing happened, he was like, I feel like dancing, I
mean, I'm nervous leading up to any needle, but that's just me.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And, if you don't get the vaccine, I respect it because that is your human right.
Yeah.
But as long as you're making the decision, I guess, informed, who is ever informed or however you define that, then I'm okay with it. If you're just falling to like social pressures and stuff, I'm not okay with it either way. If you get it or not, right? I feel like you should believe in what you're doing when you get the vaccine and not regret it later on in life. So, anywho, let's alleviate the stress of the vaccine and let's get into some retro goodness. Talk about our past and relive some memories.
So I've been thinking about arcades a lot lately.
Why?
Just because, I bought, this is a funny story. I bought this console off AliExpress called the Super Console X Pro.
Sounds horrible.
It's an all-in-one emulator that runs Dreamcast, MAME, Sega Naomi, Atomus Wave, and a bunch of other arcade games and consoles. Only problem is I can't play it right now because it came with an Australian plug instead of a North American one.
Okay, well, I'm sure you'll send me a picture of the unit later so the people already see it, but is it like a tabletop arcade thing that has an HDMI port? Is it like a box?
Yeah, it's like a tiny little thing that almost sort of resembles a Super Famicom, but not enough that they can get sued. It's got an HDMI cable. It comes pre-installed with a 256 gigabit little micro SD full of legal backups.
Of course, absolutely.
and some knockoff PlayStation controllers. But you can plug in any USB controller you want. So
Well, we'll get into the new era here, I guess, of these clone systems, but they must not have any laws, or they have very light laws about copyright infringement in China.
oh,
How did they get away with it?
from what I've been given to understand, in China, I don't know if it's because they're a dictatorship or what, but basically it's the Wild West of copyright out there.
I've heard some. I don't understand the intricacies of it, but I've heard that like phone parts and like everybody's getting ripped off there. If you have it made there, the sweatshops or whatever, just be prepared to have it ripped off there at the same time.
And the funny thing is, the reason that they can't shut down like the people who make like bootleg action figures or video games, it's because there's so many manufacturers all mass producing this stuff. So basically, going after all of them would be a fool's errand. You'd never get to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
But I guess a good thing to come out of it, especially in our pandemic era, it's just accessibility to people to play all these games. And
Exactly.
it's fun. It's like music. It should be available to everybody.
Or information.
Yes, it's true. Starlink.
Starlink.
I should put a picture of like Link holding a star. But so you like the console right now? It's playing well? No lag or anything like that?
I haven't been able to play it.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
need a
right.
plug
Shit.
adapter.
It's late, bro. I just put the kids to bed.
That's okay. I mean, hey, kids come first, right?
Yeah. See, I have this. I have an arcade as well. I made out of a Raspberry Pi, of course. Legal backups of all my my video games, and it's just so much fun. I love the stand up. I have like full size arcade. I don't think you've been to my house when I've had it running. But basically, it's a shell.
It wasn't running when I was there, but I saw it, and I kind of pew-pewed on the guns a little.
Oh, man. Oh, those... Yeah, I have two arcade. That one's a shell, too, but I'm basically running a Raspberry Pi out of my arcade. It's friggin' fantastic. I love the thing. Mine broke down, actually. The computer I was using broke down, so I have a Raspberry Pi that Lester still has to do his magic with and plug it back in. But that's like our first project after we get herd immunity or it's safe for us to come together again. We're going to put together the MAME arcade in Thrift Dweller Laboratories. You're coming. You're coming.
I can't wait. I'm going to whoop you all at Mortal Kombat 2.
Lester said the same thing about Hit the Ice. He thought he could get me on Hit the Ice. Let's just say Lester hit the ice hard.
I don't know. You've never gone up against me and my boy Scorpion. I'm just saying. We're a pretty lethal team.
Oh my! I call Mortal Kombat the Dance Dance Revolution of fighting games. Forward, back, forward, punch. Like, it makes no sense to me. If you're a Street Fighter fighter or gamer, and then Mortal Kombat, different spec. You have to hold a block button.
I know.
There's a block button.
I mean, I enjoy both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, so I have no trouble switching from one system to another. But
bring it, World Warrior. Street Fighter 2 Turbos are jam, just so you know.
I'm just going to say right now, I am nowhere near you guys' level at Street Fighter. You Filipinos and honorary Filipinos, in the case of Ian, are just like, you wipe the floor with me.
You could probably beat Ian, to be honest.
I don't know. Never faced him.
Well, it's funny that you bring up arcades. Like, right now we're talking about the social aspect of it, coming together as friends. Back in the day, that was our meeting place. That was our watering hole. As kids,
Exactly.
Many arcades. And I think you and I were chatting before we talked today about, like, Chuck E. Cheese. What do you call those types of amusement restaurants?
I guess, sort of.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese.
I just called them arcades with food.
Yeah, that. What's the one in the States? I forget the name of it now. Buster's?
Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. Like those types of places. Growing up, you had Ruckers.
Ruckers. Oh, the Ruckers on Regent. That was my arcade, baby.
Describe Ruckers when you walked in. What was the feel? What was the atmosphere?
So Ruckers wasn't necessarily like a Chuck E. Cheese. I don't believe they ever had food, to my knowledge.
Okay.
But, they were just... back when I was going, it was wall-to-wall arcade games. And, of course, there was the counter at the front with all the prizes. All the standard prizes. The big ones were like toys and stuff. The little ones were like those weird fake earrings you give to your 5th grade girlfriend. True story.
Okay, Noah. Okay. I'm sure.
Uh,
5th grade. Okay.
Your 5th grade girlfriend is not a real girlfriend, children.
My 5th grade girlfriend was a bunch of boys. That sounded weird. I wasn't worried about girls back in grade 5. Me and my friends were playing Super Nintendo, the latest and greatest technology. You got a girlfriend in grade 5, you beat me.
You know what's funny? I was playing Super Nintendo in grade 5 too.
Well, we were poor. We had to wait till it was already old.
Yeah.
But
hey, I got it because it was a hand-me-down. That was my first console, a hand-me-down.
Okay, is Rutgers like a national chain type thing, or is it just a local spot?
You know, I've never actually researched this. As far as I knew, it was only Winnipeg, but correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong.
So it was like a Chuck E. Cheese light, no restaurant, no singing mice.
No, none of that. Otherwise, I would have been way more traumatized than I already was as a child.
Well, okay, think because I grew up with Chuck E. Cheese, right?
Yeah.
So they have the restaurant part with the really bad pizza, and they have the gaming area. You only went for the gaming area, but mine was okay. You think about Chuck E. Cheese first off. Like I just bought this guy. Remember? I don't know if you saw the pickup video for that. It meant something to me, Chuck E. Cheese. But it's funny that it's a mouse in a restaurant. This is your mascot. The sign of like filth and not being clean is your mascot for your restaurant.
The health inspector would have a field day if Chuck E. Cheese was real.
I bet you if they had a cartoon, the health inspector is the enemy. And Chuck E. Cheese and his group of bandits have to find a way to circumvent his health initiatives in the restaurant. But no, it was happy times there. You know, they had the animatronic band. I think when I was there, I kind of remember it. But I was just playing. You were playing like skee ball. They didn't have many arcades though. But you were playing skee ball, the basketball game. That's really the only two things that I remember.
Air hockey.
Oh yeah, you didn't win many tokens. I remember thinking like I got all these tokens when I went to the counter. I was gonna get something huge, and then you get erasers and a pencil, and then teasing you in the face 10,000 tokens is like the big stuffy. You know, they had a Game Boy for 500,000 tokens, and here I am with a few hundred. I got some bubble gum, and you know, good memories now though. Good memories now.
Who won that Game Boy anyway? I wonder. Probably some kid who had like a ton of allowance or really
you
rich
probably
parents.
had to go. It's one of those things where you save your tokens and you bring them home, because nowadays when you have a place like that, everything's saved digitally on a card. But back then you had to hold your token, like the tickets, you had to keep them with you. If you wanted to bring them back the next time, you had to bring them in like a bag. It was an interesting time, but a great time to be alive. I'll say that.
With Rutgers, it was never tokens; it was tickets.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You didn't get a bunch of coins, walk around like a peasant with coins in a sack. You got paper tokens or tickets. Yeah.
Bring out your tokens.
I'm not that old. You know? Bills. Sorry, go ahead.
Some arcades did give out tokens, though.
Well, I mean, they wanted you to pay ahead of time. Another arcade that I went to in Winnipeg was called Games on the Avenue. It was on Portage if you're local here. But it was just like a small, now standard store, and just like it's literally one hall, and they just had arcades up and down the sides, and they would give you tokens. You had to buy them ahead of time, but if you brought your report card in, like every A is 5 tokens, every B is like 3 tokens or something. And I would always bring the same report card and always get my standard like 8 tokens. I wasn't that smart, so I got 8 tokens, and then you bring in your $20. They had this one game in the back corner. Nobody watched me play it. Gals Panic. It's a dirty story for you kids. Gals Panic. Nobody. And you had to work to get your. Oh my God. Your naughty pictures.
You naughty boy.
This is before the internet. But I can't believe they just let me play this game. Gals Panic. Google it if you don't know what it is. You have to go through 3 stages to get to like.
Arcade.
Sorry?
I think they had that in a public arcade. This isn't Japan.
Well, it was a very dark. It wasn't well lit in there, so I don't know. The one guy in the front was always just reading I remember he's reading a WWF magazine when I went in. He didn't even look at us, bunch of kids. But yeah, we had like that was just, they had Street Fighter, they had Mortal Kombat. It was just a place where we all met up. This was already arcades dying. But there was always a few hardcore people that went. But back even before my day, I'm gonna say in the '80s, arcades were just banging. You know, you see shows like Stranger Things. That's literally how it was. And my parents would never let me go, but I would always look from the outside in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy
funny,
to think.
Arcades used to be like places where parents thought illegal gambling and drug deals were going down.
I wonder if there was, though. Was that legitimate? Maybe it was.
I bet there was probably a few bit of the wacky tobacco being sold on the down low in between games of Pac-Man.
I bet, but man, arcades, I would love to have that type of connectivity again. You didn't have the internet, so you weren't so connected to like the world, but you were still connected to like your local community. And I think that's such a, I don't know, it's lost now because it's impossible to be not connected to the world. Everything has the internet, but to live in an era before the internet, I can only describe it to people now. Even you, Noah, you grew up, the internet was already around. But I had an era when there was no internet.
To be fair, when I grew up, the internet was still very young. It was nothing like it is today.
No, absolutely.
So YouTube wasn't even around until 2005 when I would have been like 11.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm underestimating your age.
Yeah. I grew up in a very young internet world. It's not at all. We didn't have Facebook when I was a kid. We had MSN Messenger, and that was about it. And that was like the cutting edge.
I had a telephone, Noah.
Well, so did I, but sometimes
you had options.
The phone bill.
You had options. All I had was a telephone, and I had a pen pal in the Philippines.
Nice.
Now I can instant messenger if I wanted to. Back then, we'd have to wait 6 weeks between letters. I had a feeling my parents were setting me up to marry this woman, but man, I had a pen pal. Pen pal.
Does anybody even have that? I guess now they're just online friends.
Yeah, we Facebook each other or we FaceTime.
I mean, I've got friends in the States, and I'm like, are those pen pals? If I talk to them over Discord or whatever, I'm not sure.
Okay, now here's a question for you. Is this how my parents felt with like technology changing so fast? Or are we in like a unique type of situation, me especially? Technology is changing so fast that decades, like 10 years ago now, back in my parents' day was like 30 years difference, right? Like technology is just accelerating at such a, I don't know, such a fast pace. Like, I can't imagine what the world's going to be in 5 years. Holograms. Holograms and electric cars.
We already technically have holograms and electric cars.
They'll be walking down the street, Noah. They're going to fire greeters at Walmart and have a hologram that knows your name because your phone. Like, hello, Nathaniel. Hello, Noah.
Jokes on them, I don't have a phone.
Oh. Hello, outcast from society. Welcome to Walmart.
Yeah, I know. Buy my shit and get out.
That is hilarious. The world is going to be so weird and so different, but I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited to see where it goes. Just got to stay healthy and stay alive to get there, I guess.
One day we will be able to travel across the stars at light speed, but it probably won't be when I'm alive.
I want to see space before I die. That's one of my goals in life. I want to go up and like float. You know? Like
that would be pretty amazing, not gonna lie.
Oh my goodness gracious. So did that give you your fill for the arcade talk, or was there more you wanted to talk about?
I was gonna see if we could talk about some of our favorite arcade games.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Name your first arcade game that you played that you kind of remember.
Well, it certainly wasn't Gal's Panic, you naughty boy, but...
That's probably the earliest arcade I remember playing. Nothing else mattered.
Okay, so one of my earliest arcade memories. So my oldest brother used to play, junior hockey. And, obviously that meant sometimes we would take trips. And I remember we were in somewhere in, I think it was Edmonton, but I'm not too sure. I'd have to ask my mom, but I remember the hotel had a pool, and right next to the pool were some arcade machines, and one of them was Mortal Kombat 1. I couldn't have been more than 5, 6, and I played Mortal Kombat. I got my butt handed to me, didn't know what I was doing, but that certainly stuck with me.
I played Mortal Kombat you remember, okay, people won't, if you're outside Winnipeg, you won't know. Portage Place, it's like the worst mall in our city. It had such high hopes for it, and it just turned out to be a dive. There was cinema there. It was like a 3 cinema theater, and that's where they had Mortal Kombat. And there was always like a crowd of people watching you play. A bunch of poor kids who didn't have quarters, so whoever got to go play, you got expected there was going to be a huddle of like 4 people around you watching you. And if you're great, they would cheer you on. If you suck, they talk about you. And it's a very high pressure situation. I remember I pulled off a fatality by accident. I was supposed to uppercut with Sub-Zero a guy into the pit, and I ripped out his spinal cord. And then I played it off like I totally meant it, Like, think I'm gonna do the easy fatality, the pit? This is the decapitation. And I just lost the next fight, anyways. But still, it was a fun. Mortal Kombat was probably kept arcades going for a little bit longer. I think they would have died without Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat for sure.
Oh, for sure. Fighting games really reinvigorated arcades for a bit there in the 90s.
Any other notables that you remember, Noah?
Okay,
I got a couple.
So one time I'm on a field trip, in like middle school or something. It's 7th or 8th grade. I don't freaking remember. My brain's starting to repress most of my schooling. We were at a bowling alley. I want to say it was Roxy Lanes, but it might have been somewhere else.
Okay.
But instead of bowling, what me and some of the other kids in the class mostly did, we played the Simpsons arcade game that was sitting there.
That is a classic. That's a great story too, but continue. We'll talk about that for sure.
Oh, that game is so much fun. If you've never played it, by all means, please seek out any way you can. It's 4-player. You play as the entire Simpsons family trying to rescue Maggie from Mr. Smithers and Burns.
Sucking on a diamond.
The developers did not watch the show. That much is clear. There's Channel 6 is like a kabuki theater in the game. It's awesome.
I'm going to look up right now how you can play Simpsons Arcade. Where was it released? I have a feeling. Oh, wow.
The last time it was legally released was on Xbox and PSN, but of course that's been delisted. And they're shutting down the PSN store in July. Ooh. Sony.
Okay, so the Simpsons arcade beat 'em up developed by Konami in 91. Let's see here. The game allows you to play 4 players. The game was ported to the Commodore 64 and MS-DOS.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm sure it's not arcade perfect, but I'll show a picture. No. I'll put a picture of it over here somewhere.
But I've seen the ports, and they're surprisingly good for the systems they're on.
The arcade, when you were a kid and the first time you saw that, Simpsons was big, obviously. Bartman was taking over the world. This is before the rise of Homer Simpson. Bart was really carrying the show.
Yeah.
And then there was this arcade that had this big, beautiful sprites of the Simpsons, very accurate to the cartoon, the sounds, the big, bright blue arcade. It stood out from all the other dark games in the arcade. It was 4 players. It was simple to pick up. You had 2 buttons in our arcade stick, what arcade games should be, in my opinion. Very easy to pick up and play games. I love those types of games. And The Simpsons was, oh man, it was so much fun. You had all the cameos from other characters. You never beat it. It was an arcade quarter eater.
Yeah. We did not beat it that day. I can't even remember how far we got.
And the problem with this game, because I'm assuming it's the licenses, right? The Simpsons.
Yeah.
You're only going to get the license for a short amount of time. Konami, to be able to port it over will be very difficult to get everyone involved to get their cut, into one contract. So, sadly, this game I don't think wasn't like other games that have been able to be enjoyed throughout the years. Simpsons was you enjoyed it at the beginning, and if you were lucky enough to get it on Xbox 360 arcade or PlayStation Network, you got to experience it again. But there's this big gigantic gap in the middle.
Yep.
It's so sad. It's for such a fun game, I think.
I mean, really, when you think about it, emulators were a godsend.
Absolutely. What's an emulator? I don't know. Well, FBI.
If fans didn't take it upon themselves to preserve old games, the industry just would not. They don't care. They don't care unless they can sell it to you again for $20. Nintendo.
I'm gonna look at the. Let's see here. I was gonna try to find what people thought about the ports on Xbox Live Arcade or the PlayStation Network. Were they good? Were they ported over well?
As far as I knew, they were arcade perfect. I think Digital Eclipse did them, and Digital Eclipse usually does pretty good work with porting over arcade stuff. They've done work for Capcom and Midway and all of them.
Well, this is going to be my only, my last thought on this type of video game. A little bit passionate about it. It shows the need for physical media, right? You're not sucking on the teat of these big companies to get your little fix or your little bit of milk. I'm going to buy the cow and I will own it forever. You could take it off the stores or what have you. I have it in my collection, you know?
Yep, exactly. Physical media is king and always will be.
Limited run, please. Find a way to get this license and give us a physical copy of it on something.
Oh, speaking of beat 'em ups, that new TMNT game, it's coming to Switch. Please.
Shredder's Revenge. Okay, if you buy it, I buy it. We'll do a review here. One episode just dedicated to reviewing that. Even though everyone and their mother will be doing reviews, ours will be the best.
But I'm so excited.
It's the sequel we need. Sequel we need. It looks beautiful, guys. If you don't know, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll put little footage here. But man, research it. Amazing looking game.
I gotta say, it's from the same guys who recently did Streets of Rage 4, and those guys are doing God's work, I tell you, in the industry.
God's work, huh?
Bringing back the classics for everybody.
Absolutely. So
now we just need a proper fourth Golden Axe, or a home port of Revenge of Death Adder, please. Something.
Tugging on my heartstrings here, Noah. We're just talking about classic video games. Golden Axe I loved it on the Sega Genesis because it was a game you could actually beat.
I know.
You know, it wasn't one of those games like Lion King or Aladdin that you're never going to beat, even if you owned it for a few years.
I know. Unless you got real good.
Exactly. It's not Ninja Gaiden, you know?
Or you found the cheat codes, or you got a Game Genie.
Oh, Game Genie. So shoddy, but Golden Axe, man, that is the culmination of swords and sorcery beat 'em up.
Yeah, man.
The flag bearer for that era, or for that type of game from that era. We do need a fourth?
Well, let's see. I mean, the Golden Axe timeline is weird. Revenge of Death Adder is technically the second game for the arcades, but of course there was Golden Axe 2 and 3 for the Sega Genesis. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It gets murky, especially if you go into, like, they redid Golden Axe for, Xbox 360 and everything like that?
Yeah, and there was also a 3D port for the PS2 of the original, under the Sega Ages line.
Man, I'm looking at the art of the original Golden Axe, that oil painting stuff.
It's pure fantasy art.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I love that art. Okay, let's go here on the reliable Wikipedia here. Golden Axe, the first one came out in 1989 for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. 2 came out for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive in 1991. Revenge of Death Adder, 1992. So they have it listed as the third on the list here. But then the fourth one listed is Golden Axe 3, Revenge of Death Adder. Oh, what?
What?
There's Revenge of Death Adder. In 1992, Sega released Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder in arcades. So maybe, and then when it got ported over to the home consoles, it was called Golden Axe 3.
Well, there never was a port of...
No, wait.
Golden Axe 3 is not the Revenge of Death Adder.
No, it's not.
Its own game.
I'm reading it wrong. There's a comma. In 93, after Revenge of Death Adder, the third Golden Axe game on Mega Drive was released only in Japan. However, the game is available for a while in North America on the Sega Channel,
the Sega Channel, Sega subscription service.
It was brought to Europe and North America on the Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console. Ooh. I wonder if people can sell Wii's with it downloaded on the consoles. Critics applauded Sega's decision not to release Golden Axe 3 in North America, speculating that the game's drab graphics and generally mediocre quality would have damaged the Sega Genesis reputation. I'm sure other things did that.
I played Golden Axe 3. It's not that bad.
And then you have...
It's pretty fun.
So there's a big gap here from 93. The next game listed is in 2008 Golden Axe Beast Rider.
Oh, that game. Burn my balls, woman.
So it's the woman who carries on the legacy there. They had some spin-offs, I guess. Golden Axe Warrior for the Sega Master System.
And Game Gear, I think? No, Axe Battler was for Game Gear.
Yeah, the Golden Axe Warrior was like The Legend of Zelda. Axe Battler, A Legend of Golden Axe. That was on Game Gear. It's based on more Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, than the original game. What? That's crazy. And then you got Golden Axe The Duel for the Saturn. That's a game I wanted to get. Sorry?
Arcades and Saturn.
Oh, that was The Duel?
Yeah, The Duel was an arcade game first, and then it was a Saturn game.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. First in arcades in 94, and then on the Sega Saturn in 95.
And let me tell you, an English copy is pretty expensive, as with most Saturn games.
You know what? I should have bought one from the flea market for like $80 back in the day. Now he's selling it for like $125, and I think that's still a good price. I should get it before he looks up the price again. You know, not telling you who.
I recently saw somebody selling Doom on the Saturn for 110 complete.
Oh,
and
man.
I was kind of, even though it's an awful port, I'm like, but it's Doom.
But it's Doom.
Like Saturn.
I love it on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I love it on the Super Nintendo and the PS1 with the creepy music on the port.
The port to the Super Nintendo was apparently something of a miracle.
It was.
They literally used like everything but 4 bytes of data, or something like that.
The source code for the Super Nintendo port was leaked, I think, last year by the programmers. So technically, people can mod and ROM hack Doom SNES much easier now.
Okay, well, just to tie up this Golden Axe, I just have one last thought before I leave it, but I think the Golden Axe franchise, as beautiful as it is, it's a victim of not having a singular visionary behind it, like Shigeru Miyamoto, you know, controlling all his IPs throughout the years, really crafting how it is. Golden Axe was at the mercy of a company like Sega, who just
which unfortunately does not take good care of their classic IPs outside of Sonic and maybe Phantasy Star Online.
Even Sonic was done raw, you know.
I mean, yeah.
If you don't have that visionary, it shows how important a leader is.
It's like Kevin Feige with the MCU.
There you go. Absolutely. Anywho, that's a nice little bow on Golden Axe. Play it if you haven't played it, or look it up.
Go play Golden Axe. It's on the Genesis versions are on like every Sega collection ever. It's on Sega Genesis Classics for the Switch right now. Go get it.
Music is great. Gameplay is nice and easy. I love arcade type games, man. Just beat them up. It's fine with me. I don't need an epic RPG, man. There's
a dwarf with an axe.
Oh, they have magic spells?
Oh, the chick's dragon fire spell? Best one in the whole game.
I liked her. She was my go-to character. And then the barbarian. And the dwarf if I wanted to laugh.
You know what's funny? In the Genesis version, the chick, she has like a more like standard bikini bottom. In the arcade, she had a thong. That's why you play the arcade version, kids. It's always better. More animation, better.
Oh, okay, here's a game I want to bring up. I'm going to research it as we talk about it, though. A game that was it struck me when I went to the arcade was the X-Men dual screen arcade. Did it really need that extra wide? This is okay. We didn't have wide screens back then for kids who don't understand. Why did who made it? Konami, why did they have this? They had like one main TV and they had a mirror reflecting the second TV, so it looks like one long screen. Which you could tell there was a divide in the middle, but
you had up to 6 players on that game. It was insane.
Oh, it was beautiful. Like The Simpsons, it was done well. The characters were ported over beautifully. They have whose art is that? That's what I want to know.
It's based on the animated pilot Pride of the X-Men from 1989.
Who's the artist?
I'm not sure who the artist was. All I know is that it was an attempt to make an X-Men animated series at the tail in the 80s. It didn't get picked up. Thankfully, Saban came in and made an X-Men animated series in the 90s that we all know and love. But the the pilot did spawn that amazing arcade game at least.
Oh man, I still have that VHS for the pilot. Oh, it's
Yeah,
Wolverine is
man.
Australian.
The hair metal X-Men opening theme, I love it.
Oh, but okay, we'll talk about that next time. I'm gonna watch my VHS tape again, but no, this game was fantastic. Another gem that I guess was it ever ported over? How can you port this over?
I
Oh, it's
mean,
on Xbox Live.
they could have done it for Super Nintendo, but the problem was, and this is the same thing that affected the Simpsons arcade game. Acclaim held the home console and handheld licenses for games based on Marvel characters.
That's right.
The arcade rights and the console rights were very different. So we were very thankful that Konami had all the rights for Ninja Turtles back then because we got amazing ports of those games.
Thank God.
Otherwise, it would have been very different. Can you imagine LJN making Ninja Turtles games?
Yeah, I was gonna say LGN ruined a lot of. Man, I wanted to play that Back to the Future game, but we couldn't get it here in North America because LGN.
Yeah, the Super Back to the Future 2 for Super Famicom.
Yeah, that's a beautiful game. But imagine my life. Sorry, this is going back and forth here, but how my life would have been different if Konami didn't release those home ports of Ninja Turtles. I wonder. I have a lot of memories playing those games with my cousins for hours and hours.
Oh man, Turtles in Time is like my top 3 SNES games of all time.
Oh, bro, my cousins and I abused Turtles 2, the arcade game on the Nintendo. Oh, and Turtles 3 Manhattan Project. Oh, those are great games. Cheers to those.
Manhattan Project, that was a sweet little NES exclusive.
Oh, yeah. It played pretty much like Turtles 2, the arcade game, but...
I mean, yeah. Also, fun fact, there's a Triceratops and Casey Jones on the cover, but they never appear anywhere in the actual game.
There you go.
Who cares, because that cover art is amazing.
And you want to know why we have Noah on the podcast. This is a great podcast, just talking about arcade. I like how this topic just spawned up spontaneously.
If we ever do an episode on favorite comic book runs, I so have to talk about the original Mirage Turtle comics.
We got lots of things to talk about. We got to get back to our Dark Knight talks.
Right. Yeah, I found the full episode of Freaky Stories that was listed for that Dark Knight. I found it on YouTube. And I immediately
For people who don't know, we're going to try to recreate a Dark Knight marathon playlist on YouTube so everyone can enjoy it. We're going to put on the segments from YTV with PJ Phil and PJ Paul. We're going to try to find the era-appropriate what's it called? Commercials, the episodes, and shows that were played on Dark Knight.
So the good news is I have the Goosebumps episode they played on that particular Dark Knight on DVD, so I can just rip that.
Yep.
As soon as someone, maybe Lester, tells me how to rip a DVD, because I don't know crap.
I'll send it to my house. I can rip it.
I know how to how to bootleg a DVD to a VHS, but that's about it.
I think it'd be fun to recreate our own Dark Knight for a bunch of people who want to have a marathon with their kids. Imagine that. Spreading the joy of Dark Knight for people. I love Goosebumps, by the way. I just finished my... sorry, go ahead.
I have not found the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode from that Dark Knight yet, but I will. It's got to be somewhere.
I trust you'll do it. Make the playlist like on paper, right? Find out what you need to have. Make a list, and we'll find it. We'll hunt them down. I'm sure we will. But did you see my podcast, my vlog about Goosebumps? There, number 61.
Yeah, that book is so expensive. I was blown away. But I think the later books in like the 50s and 60s. It was probably around the time where Goosebumps was starting to wane in popularity a little, so maybe they didn't sell as much.
Yeah, they had lower print runs, but ever since I started talking about Goosebumps on my YouTube channel, I've been getting a lot of just people from the community messaging me and talking with me and DMing me, and it's unlocking this whole new genre of collectibles. I think it's either budding or this is it's not gonna go to the masses, but there's a definite group of Goosebumps collectors out there, and they're educating me. The ones that are really expensive for the original Goosebumps are the ones that did not have reprints. Yeah, so
like the choose your own adventure Goosebumps books.
Yeah, well, for the main line, like 61 they never reprinted it anywhere. They have other compilations and third and fourth printings with different covers and stuff. They apparently never did I Live in Your Basement. They never did Monster Blood 4. There's a couple others I can't remember right now.
I'm trying to remember. Do I have all the Monster Bloods? I'm not sure.
4 is
I
the
think
hardest one to find. It's the
highest
last
my
book of the
Goosebumps
series.
collection- I think the highest my Goosebumps collection currently goes is like number 57, The Snowman of Pasadena or something.
I'm gonna read those books. We should have an episode of Goosebumps. We're done pretty much talking about arcades right now.
Yeah.
But I recently almost completed my Goosebumps collection. I'm missing number 39. What is number 39? How I Got My Werewolf Skin?
You want it? I have that one. Do you want it?
No, it's easy to find.
Okay.
So I'm not too worried about it. But How I Got My Shrunken Head. That's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah.
I never read that
also
one. But...
I have the TV one of that on DVD. It's interesting.
I love Goosebumps collecting right now because there's no real... the main guy who I'm competing with to find them is like my friend. So we're pretty good. Shout out to Neil.
That's not the scanner guy, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
Book scanner guy doesn't want Goosebumps. Choose Your Own Adventure. I'm missing 2 from there, but I got to do more research about that line. But apparently the real rare Goosebumps books are the ones that came out after the main line because, it was not the era where it was all mass produced, but Goosebumps 2000s, there's a lot of uncommon books. Yeah, they had a second type of choose your own or give yourself Goosebumps type books.
I know there was Tales to Give You Goosebumps. I have a couple of those. Compilations of short stories by R.L. Stein.
I think they had like a Slappy's World or something like that line of Goosebumps books. I
know there was a few Goosebumps graphic novels back in the 2000s.
And apparently, like, the rarest of them all are I remember this, too, as a kid. The Goosebumps that came either inside your bag of chips or you had to cut out UPCs from Pepsi products and send them in, and they would mail you a Goosebumps book. So, like, these small little books. But obviously, not a lot of people did the mail-away one, right? Because it takes a lot more effort. There's the chip bag one. Most people got that because you just took it out of your bag of chips. So the Pepsi one is really the one that I would say is like the holy grail of Goosebumps books. I'll put a picture of it here. And if you have one of these, contact Nate. It's not at a point like video games where Goosebumps books are selling for ridiculous prices. So it's kind of fun to be in on this level, this ground floor almost.
Oh man,
of Goosebumps collecting.
I didn't even know about those kind of Goosebumps books.
Oh yeah, they're not like full out novels. They almost look like pamphlet books, but they're just rare. They're very rare, very uncommon.
They're like what, the free comic books you might get with a toy?
It's like in a bag of chips. You got the book would have been no more than 4 inches by 4 inches. It's like a square, and it's like stapled in the middle like a church bulletin type thing.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's literally. Hang on, I'm just going to go to archive.org real quick.
Sure. You want to check those out?
Well, I wonder if I can find these.
Good luck.
Yeah, I kind of want to check these out.
I think people are selling them for like $300-$400, something like that. There's not a real market to gauge it, so.
I'll just get off X videos there.
X-Men videos again?
Yeah, why not?
Who uses X videos?
I don't know. Is that a thing the kids use?
I don't even know what you're talking about. You should watch a Betamax tape already. Jeez. Actually, Betamax is better quality than VHS. Sorry.
It's that is true. So is Laserdisc, for that matter.
We don't want to get into Laserdisc.
You know what's funny? I actually do kind of want to get into Laserdiscs.
Oh, me too. But like, how many collections do we? Look at my background. It's all video games. Sorry, we're just rambling off now. We're just you could have left the podcast a long time ago. Thank you for watching and listening.
Isn't that the beauty of our podcast, though? Is that it's just two friends
chatting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please leave your comments in the comments below, everybody.
It makes you feel like you're part of the group.
Yeah, that's true.
You just drop in on a random conversation.
It's fun to get your perspective because we did have like a crossover, right? My second decade of life was your first decade of life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always looking for Goosebumps books whenever I go to the thrift store. There's 2 book series I collect. Goosebumps and Animorphs. Animorphs, man.
That's your era for sure.
Oh, I read Animorphs all the time in elementary school. It's dystopian sci-fi for kids.
But they all continued on, right? They weren't like Goosebumps where they were standalone stories.
No, Animorphs was a serialized story.
Yeah,
I mean, eventually it ended, but there was like I think 54 main books and a couple spin-offs that are technically canon.
Well, I guess Goosebumps itself is a universe. They're all in the same universe.
True enough. If you guys want to know more about Goosebumps and Animorphs, go check out the YouTube channel Pop Arena. He's done a complete review of every Animorphs book, and every month he does a review of a Goosebumps book too. Check him out. He's a good guy. I like him.
Yep.
Go show him some love.
Maybe I'll put this in like extra podcast material.
Yeah. Sorry. I just had to bring that up because he is.
No. This is good. We're getting good conversation out of this. I'm happy. No, I love the reason I love Goosebumps. Okay, I'll share it with the people now. It's a story from my era that is so authentic to the time. It's like the difference of watching a movie about the 90s than watching a movie that was made in the 90s.
Exactly.
It's more authentic. They had kids and bikes, kids taking a bus, kids using home phones to call each other, not having a cell phone to rely on, not having access to the internet to research what this, I don't know, beast of Pasadena was.
Remember having to go to a library to do your paranormal research?
Oh my gosh, with your friend, and you wrote everything down on your notebook.
See, that's one thing that's one thing I do like. I'm working on a comic right now, and it's about paranormal superheroes. So when they needed to do research, they go to an old abandoned church that's just filled with books on demonology.
And they have to ride their bikes there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're 15. They're not old enough to drive yet.
Nowadays, if they had a story like Goosebumps, kids would be taking Ubers or, calling each other on the cell phone. Meet me at the flagpole at 6 o'clock. Oh, none of that. They know where each other is at like every second.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. There was a couple Goosebumps movies not too long ago, but I didn't really see much of a. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch them, but they were pretty faithful to the books.
I like the first one. Lots of call-outs, lots of callbacks.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly good kids film.
I loved it. I watched it with my kids. They got scared.
Yeah, and so the cycle continues.
The second one I watched, but I fell asleep halfway through. But I was just really tired. Not that it was boring. The sequel. I can't believe they made a sequel to Goosebumps, but
I still can't believe they finally had made a Goosebumps movie.
I know, right? It took so long.
With R.L. Stine. That was awesome.
I know, right? That's a nice homage. It's a nice homage.
Yeah, if you want a good movie to watch on Netflix with your kids or whatever, or put on for Halloween, put on the Goosebumps movie.
Absolutely. I like this. We have almost like a second podcast of just Goosebumps, but anything you want to talk about, Noah, or should we just wrap up the podcast now?
Oh, there was one thing I did want to show you guys. Speaking of clone consoles and the like, so I've discovered a website called AliExpress.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at this. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Famicom. It's a bootleg copy.
Hey, did you get my package I sent you, Noah?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
I got you those extra cartridges and stuff.
I've been enjoying the 401 so far. The others, I think I have to clean them because they didn't want to work with my adapter. I think they were just dusty, though.
Maybe. I haven't tested those, so.
So, anyway, I'll test them, and I think one of them might actually be for the Sega Genesis because it doesn't want to fit on my Famicom adapter for some reason.
One of them has Resident Evil 5 on it as a picture.
Yeah, that's the one I'm playing right now.
Why does it have Resident Evil on it? How does that work?
I don't know. That's my favorite NES game, though, Resident Evil 5.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Classic?
Classic Capcom title.
But I think you'll like this. This is Street Fighter 3 18 People.
Oh, geez. I'll put a picture of it on the side here so people can see it better.
Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, but they hacked it to add characters from Super Street Fighter 2. But it's not there's the actual Super Street Fighter 2 characters aren't even in the game. I go to select Cammy and I just get a green Chun-Li.
That's awesome.
No,
that's awesome.
And this is Mortal Kombat 5. This is a homebrew port of Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero to the Sega Genesis.
The effort it takes to make a shit game like that. you find yourself asking why.
I know. I have no idea why Nitara from Deadly Alliance is on the cartridge. I assume to sell to idiots like me, and it worked. But
How long does it take for you to get your items from AliExpress? Just curious.
not more than a few weeks. There was a delay there because of that ship that was stuck somewhere in the sea. But it never takes me more than a few weeks to get anything. Wish.com is a different story. You never know with them.
So, what are you planning to do up until the next podcast? Noah, what's the plans?
Well, first things first, I'm gonna need to get me a plug adapter so I can finally play that damn Super Console X Pro. I bought it so I could play some Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay.
I spent $80 on a disc.
That's it.
I was trying to burn a copy, but it was bigger than 700 megabytes.
I want Noah to do 10 push-ups every day until the next podcast.
Oh, I'll try.
As he drinks his sugar fructose drink.
It's green tea, and there's not even that much sugar in it.
But there's sugar.
Well, yeah.
That's okay for you. You don't look like you'll... if I drank sugar, I would grow bigger boobs. So I drink Diet Coke. Chemicals for Nate.
You know what's funny? I found out Diet Coke has 0 caffeine, which means I can actually have it because
It says 0 caffeine. No, this says caffeine. 59 milligrams in this one.
There is a version with 0 caffeine that I found.
I've been trying to decrease my caffeine as well, actually. I've been drinking Coke Zero, no caffeine.
See, the reason I can't have a lot of caffeine is because of my anxiety.
Oh, yeah?
You know what caffeine does to my brain?
Makes it work like a top, eh? Spin like a top.
Oh, and I start feeling tingly. I'm like, oh, is this what drugs is like? Oh, no, wait, I don't like this.
But I think we should have we'll have a serious podcast about our anxieties and our mental health. I think that's very important, I think.
Especially right now when mental health is being adversely affected for a lot of people, especially young people.
Yep. But we'll save that for a future podcast. Mm-hmm. Until the next podcast, I have so many pickups to get through and test and stuff. I want to do a video where I update everybody on the Holy Grail stuff or the maple syrup pickups that I find, what I did with them, if they're working, did I sell them or whatever. I think that'd be fun to just have a video of my best finds thus far and what I did with them.
You're lucky. You get to go to the thrift store every day before work. I know. That blew me away that you found that. That's amazing.
6 bones. It has the battery cover, and I just picked up the batteries. I haven't tested it yet. I'm gonna test it on the update video. Will it work?
Oh, speaking of Game & Watch, I actually got that Mario 35th one not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty fun.
Oh,
the clock is more interesting than the actual game.
I think that's what I'll use it for, is the clock.
The clock has so many little Easter eggs.
Okay, see this here? I don't know if you can see it. No, there's some bubbling there.
Yeah, I can see it. There's a bit of the label's a little worse for wear.
You know what I think that is? Somebody pointed it out to me. When they first bought it, they have a protective film that you take off.
Somebody never took off the film.
Someone never took off the film. I was like, oh, how minty is that going to be? Or will it rip off the label if I pull it up? But can you imagine if that is still protective film on top of this thing?
I know. That's got to be crazy if it is.
I love the art. You can't make this faithfully. Remake it today and make it look era authentic. I'm so excited to test that.
Nintendo could remake it if they really wanted to.
I guess so, but
it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't feel the same. But that's what I'm going to do leading up to the next podcast. Testing.
I really hope it works for you because I'd like to play it too.
Would you like to be live? I'll have you live as I test it.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Also, if you find any Tiger handheld games at the thrift, please let me know because I'm trying to collect some of those too.
I threw up on a few of them. Sorry. So let's just wrap up the podcast now. We'll keep talking after, but you want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, my friend.
All right, my friends. Thank you very much for watching the Dialup podcast. Keep it retro, keep it real. Noah, you have any parting words for the people?
I feel like we're finally getting closer towards the light at the end of the tunnel. It's still a bit of a ways to go. Obviously, there's always going to be hurdles and red tape and all that, but people continue to stay safe, continue to, be healthy and do what's best for you. And, please, if someone doesn't want to get a vaccine, don't shame them, okay?
Yes.
It's their personal reasons for it.
It's their life.
And remember, Always double check where your information comes from. Check Snopes if you have to.
Do what's right for you, because you only get one life, and it's your own.
This ain't no video. You don't get another chance. Life is no Nintendo game. Eminem, 2010.
Did he say that?
Yeah, it's actually in his song with Rihanna. I forget what the name of it is.
Yeah, that song was horrid. Thank you very much for watching. This is Nate from the Dialup Podcast. You are
Noah.
Take it easy, everybody. Stay strong.